Praise the Lord, Corona. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Well, I
good.
think I know who it is. Okay. Hey, a couple of minutes and then we can start. All right, they're coming in. We will be starting at 6 o'clock on time. Okay. It's 6 o'clock, so we will begin. So praise the Lord and welcome women of ACOG Sisterhood Connection. Those of you who are joining from other churches and invited guests. My name is Karana Mason. The Health and Wellness Leadership Team would like to welcome you to your May 2024 Health and Wellness Series. We would like to acknowledge our pastor, Dr. Byron T. Brazier, our First Lady, Evangelist Mary Brazier, the moderator of the Sisterhood Connection, Kellie Medious, the Health and Wellness Leadership Team, and all of you. So let us start with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing your daughters to come together today. Thank you for allowing us to get information that would nourish our temples. God, please open up our hearts, our mind, and our ears to receive that information for us to move forward and to glorify your name. Thank you for your mercy. In Jesus' name, amen. So our theme is be in good health. The scripture I will read is from 3 John chapter 1, verse 2 in the Amplified Version. Beloved, I pray that in every way you may succeed and prosper and be in good health physically, just as I know your soul prosper spiritually. If you happen to miss last week's topic on mental health that was presented by Dr. Dana Laughlin, you can view it on our social media platform. Today's topic in our health and wellness series is nutrition, plate balance, portions, and more, and it's presented by Kellie Medious. Kellie Medious is a results-driven and highly effective leader with several years of experience in operations, business administration, patient access, customer service, team building, and call center management. Kellie is Erie Family Health Center's Vice President of Operations. As a member of Erie's executive leadership team, Kellie is responsible for the strategic vision and direction for Erie's business operation, which includes all health center sites, patient access operations, front-end revenue cycle operations, oral health, behavioral health, and reproductive health operational teams that serves 90,000 plus patients. Kellie oversees multiple departments, staff, and projects, and has a strong understanding of Erie's finances while understanding and striving to meet Erie's strategic goals, mission, values, and beliefs. She supports initiatives which improves staff engagement and retention, provider relationships, program development, fiscal management, clinical measures, compliance management, and a healthy workplace culture, which is embedded in diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. Kellie is also Erie's first diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging officer, instrumental in starting Erie's DEIB initiatives, forming DEIB committees, employee resource groups, and DEIB training team. Kellie spends her early mornings, late afternoons, and part of the weekend helping others reach their health and wellness goals. Kellie is certified master trainer and a certified nutritionist through the International Sports Science Association. She is the owner of Second Wind Fitness Shy LLC, which is an online health and wellness business whose mission is helping you live a healthier and abundant life, one breath at a time. Just when you want to give up, we help you find your second win. Kellie is a member of the Apostolic Church of God, where she currently serves as the moderator of the Sisterhood Connection, the Ministry for Women, and a part of the leadership team and choreographer for the liturgical dance ministry. Kellie holds an MBA with an emphasis in healthcare management from Regis University and a Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Kellie is happily married to Reverend Marlon R. Medious, who serves as one of the assistant pastors of the Apostolic Church of God, as well as part of the senior leadership for the Chicago Tribune. This year, they would celebrate their 23rd wedding anniversary. Together, they have one daughter, Genesis, who will be graduating from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign in May of 2024. Kellie Medious, you are a very, very busy woman. Thank you for joining us.
And thank you, my dear friend, Karana. Can everybody hear me okay? I see some
Yes.
head nods, so I am going to take that as yes. I am going to attempt to put my presentation back up. I thought I had it solid, and let's see, let's try it again. If I did it before, I can do it again, right? And so let me know if you can see my screen here, and if it's at the full view for everybody to see.
Kellie, we can see it.
You can see it? Great.
Yes.
And so I am so honored to be with you all today. Again, thank you, Karana, for that introduction. It's always a little bit embarrassing for me to hear that, but then I am very grateful. What that all says and means is that God has favored me, and I know that I could do nothing without him, and just really excited that he used me in the capacity in which he does. So I appreciate that, K-Rock. Thank you so much. And ladies of the Apostolic Church of God, welcome. And those that may be visiting us, welcome. It is my pleasure to talk to you just a little bit this evening about nutrition. And I've entitled this session that we have together as My Portion. Let's jump right on in, because I want to make sure that I get through some meaty stuff and leave time for any questions that you may have. So, last week, as Karana stated, that we had the first session and it was around mental health. And I just want to reiterate that and start from there, that everything you do starts from your mind, that mental space. It's the most important step to help you move forward towards a healthier life. I don't care if it's just trying to exercise a little bit more, maybe try to eat a little bit differently. All of that starts in your mind. That's why it's so important what we fuel our mind with is things that'll help us make good decisions and live healthier lives. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. It starts with prayer and meditation. We are praying church, are we not? Absolutely we are. You don't even have to answer that. It starts with prayer, and it needs to go and be specific of what you want God to do. So I mean, expanded it beyond like, oh Lord, help me to do this. Help me not to eat too many sweets today, but really specifically what you want God to do. Write it down and meditate on it. A good friend of mine always encourages me to journal. And while I can still do a little bit better in that space, when I do journal, I find that there's a little bit of relief for me to get it out of my mind, down on paper, so I can really reflect on what it is that I'm asking God to help me commit to. Also, we have to remember the why behind the decision to do anything. And it needs to be something that's meaningful to you and to your work in God's kingdom, to your family. And so, for example, I want to change the way I eat or how I perceive food because I want to live a healthier life. I want to see my grandchildren grow up. I want to have the abundant life that you promised me, and not make it so seasonal to, I want a summer body, I want a good body for the summer, or I want to, as they say, unbig my back. It needs to be something that is really meaningful to you and that can be long-term. Most importantly, you need to understand how your body works. No two bodies are the same, and that may even go for twins. No two bodies are the same. What do I mean by that? There may be some people, as they venture on this health journey, that lose pounds relatively quickly. But then there'll be others like myself that may lose inches first before you see pounds. You can't get discouraged if somebody else's body works a little bit differently, but it is important that you understand how your body works so you can know how to adjust. Most importantly, you need to understand that any journey, any change in this mindset of a healthier lifestyle is a journey and not a sprint. And so we all have seen around on social media and commercials, lose 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 pounds in this short amount of time. And sometimes, yes, it does work, but what it doesn't do is show you what you need, the nutrients that your body needs to sustain it. And oftentimes, you either gain it back and sometimes even more. To be honest, losing weight or maintaining weight or, understanding what your goals should be, losing 1 to 2 pounds a week is considered normal, healthy, and you're most likely to keep it off. You didn't know that, did you? Understanding the difference between motivation and discipline are two different things. You will not always be motivated. You will not always be motivated, but you have to condition your mind to be disciplined. What does that mean? That I'm going to do this whether I feel like it or not, whether it's raining or sunny, when it's cold or too hot, whether I get enough sleep or stayed up too late. It all comes back to that discipline. There are going to be days where you absolutely do not feel like it. And if you tap in only to motivation, that's typically where we fall off. We all heard about New Year's resolution. People are motivated for that first week, maybe month. But after that motivation wears off, they may not come into that health club or to that nutritional center for another 2-3 months because they are no longer motivated. So discipline is the key. And I'm going to just let you all know that the mental aspect of this is much more intense than anything that you're going to feed your body or any exercise that you want to do. Because if you can overcome it mentally, your body is going to follow. And so the scripture that I want to reference today is Psalms 119:57. And it says, "You are my portion, O Lord. I have said that I will keep your words. You are my portion. You are enough, O Lord. You are what I need. And I have said that I will keep your words." So what are his words? His word says that you are to prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospers. It says that I know the very number of hairs that are on your head. His word says that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. His word says, in him we live, we move, and we have our being. He said that he would supply all of our needs. All of these are his words, and that his words are enough for us. And so when you have it embedded into you, the word of God, and you start from that perspective, everything else will follow. He will give you what you need. And so let's talk about what are we feeding our temple. And for our time together, we are talking about our physical temple, our body. But we're not going to just focus on overeating. We all know how it feels to overeat. All of us at some point in time have overdid it and we felt lethargic, our stomach hurt, we got sleepy. We're like, oh, why did we do this? We have to unbutton our pants or our skirt. You just want to lie down. You don't feel good. You may have a headache. We've been there. We ate too much. But did you know that undereating can be just as concerning? How is that? And undereating also can provide weight gain just as well. How, Kelly, if I'm not eating enough? I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you. When you do not fuel your body or your temple with what it needs, your body no longer trusts you. You lose trust. And so what it does, it says, I don't know when it's going to feed me again, when she's going to feed me again. So I'm going to hold on to everything whenever she gives it to me. And so then I'm not burning it off if I need to burn it off. And normally if you're under eating, you're probably so busy, you're running here and there, you're in this meeting, that meeting, you're making life happen for somebody else, and you forget about you. And before you notice, 12 hours have gone past and you're like, oh, I don't think I ate anything today. Oh, 14 hours went past. Oh, I don't think I ate anything today. Oh, I'm tired. And your body is like, yeah, I don't trust you. And so I'm going to hold on to anything you do put into me until you regain its trust, until you start to fuel it with the things that it needs.
Kellie, are your
Secondly,
slide, let me stop you. Are your slides supposed to be advancing, Kellie?
no, are they?
No, they're not. I'm just saying they're not. I thought you were just still, because can you go into like the slide? Go into slideshow.
I'm not
Because
in
I think they think your
slideshow.
slide should be advancing. Yeah, go hit
Okay.
slideshow
Oh, I thought I
right
was.
here.
I'm so sorry. Hold
That's
on.
okay.
Let's
Right there.
see.
Right.
Slideshow.
Right.
Let's see. How about now? What does it look like?
Now I'm not saying anything.
Oh, amen. Oh, it's doing
Oh,
something.
it's coming. Yeah, it's
Let's give it
coming.
a moment. Thank you. Well, while that's loading, you can still hear me, right? You can? You can
Yes,
still
we
hear
can hear
me?
you. Hmm.
I'm not sure why it's taking. Okay. So do you
There it
see
is.
it now? Okay, let me get to the
Yes.
slide that I'm actually on. Thank you for letting me know that. We would have been and I would have thought you saw it all. Okay. One moment. Let's see. Here we are. Can you see this slide? Is it 3 blue little squares?
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We are where we supposed to be. Awesome. And so I am at the middle square right now. Thank you for that. When you are hungry, your body wants nutrients and not necessarily what we give it. So I am a prime component of that. I work primarily from home at this time, and I am in a lot of meetings back to back. And sometimes when I get hungry, I grab something that I have over here in my little corner. And I'm going to be honest, it's not always the best thing to grab, but it's something that will satisfy me in the moment. And I think I can keep going throughout the day. We got to make sure when our body is hungry, we are actually giving it what it needs and not necessarily what is convenient for us. And then what we eat has a direct connection on how we think, how we make decisions, what we remember, how we sleep or the lack thereof, and how we relate to other people. So we started this conversation by saying it starts in the mind. Absolutely, it does. So if I give my body or my temple unprocessed food, I am going to have unprocessed thoughts. If I give my body a bunch of sugar that makes me jittery, my decisions are going to be all over the place. It is all connected together. If I don't give myself enough nutrients, I become weak. And so I sleep, but I'm not necessarily refueling myself. I'm lethargic and it's not really helping me. Or we have a term now that we call hangry. We get angry because we're hungry and we need something to eat. And that makes us short with people that we shouldn't be short with. And that makes us overlook things that we may need to spend some attention to. So this all connects together. Did the slide advance? Awesome. Okay, so
Yes.
what is food to you? What is food to you? Food tells a story that goes beyond the chemical story that we're talking about. It is actually a part of every choice that we made, and it tells a story about us. So let me explain. When somebody graduates or somebody gets a promotion, you say, oh, we have to celebrate. And that celebration usually includes what? Food, right? When you say, hey, it's been a long time, we need to connect, we need to go out, we're usually going where? To lunch, brunch, dinner, right? When the weather breaks out and you're like, oh, this is great, let's try this new rooftop, which also serves what? Food. So food is a part of who we are. That's not a bad thing. What we need to do is see how that food is shaping our lives, our health, and how we function. So it's more to food than just this chemical stuff that I need to put in my body in order to live and move. It really is a part of who we are as individuals. And so it's more than just fuel as well. It gives us energy. Without energy, our body is not going to work right. I have a prime example. Last Saturday, I did not give my body the fuel that it needed and then participated in a 5-hour dance intensive. After so long, everything was shutting down. So moves that I know I could do, I couldn't do. Choreography that I had in my head, I forgot. Kicks that I wanted to do started to ache a little bit. And I didn't have the energy because I did not fuel my body. It wasn't working right. It wasn't doing the things that I know it could do. My body was shutting down. Long term, it can also affect your reproduction, your metabolism, and going right back to that brain function when we don't have enough energy. On the flip side, we also know what it feels like to have too much energy. We all have a person in our life, and you may be the person that we say is just doing the most. Have way too much energy, always happy, always bouncing. I'm thinking of a person right now, God bless her entire soul, love her tremendously. But too much energy also can cause problems. And that's when we give ourselves too much of the wrong stuff. And it can make us or cause us to become resistant to some hormones that we actually need to keep us centered, to keep us leveled. Long term, inflammation can occur. So out of nowhere, if you're like, oh my goodness, why are my ankles starting to swell? Why is my knee starting to swell? Blood pressure can kind of get off kilter, which can lead to other chronic diseases. So you have to find a balance with your food to make sure it's giving you enough energy to sustain and function the way it was intended. And so with that, nutrient density matters. What is that? Nutrients are what we need to live and to thrive, excuse me. And that's what helps us become healthier and perform our best and live our best lives and become active. And there's a balance between that nutrition and that energy that we intake that helps us be what we need to be. And so we can function in the way we need to function to have longevity in whatever it is that we choose to do, the why behind why we're doing these things. Those all come together. And so with that, there are different densities in food. So let's talk about high nutrient density. What is that, Kelly? Well, examples of it are on this slide. These bright, colorful fruit and vegetables are what we consider high nutrient density food. They're usually bright or deeply colored. And also beans and meats and eggs and whole grains are other example of what high nutrients. So if it's high and it's nutrients, that's usually what your body needs to burn off that appropriately, to make sure that the right kind of signals are getting to your brain, to make sure your digestive system is working the way it intended. All of those things come from that high nutrient density. And if you think about it, if you've ever been on any kind of meal plan or any kind of diet, fruit and vegetables typically, maybe not at all, but typically are the things that you can have the most of, because those are the things that really kind of thrive. It has a lot of water in it. So you're also getting water intake. It has minerals and vitamins, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But these are the types of foods that give us high nutrient density. So with every high, there's a low. What are low nutrient densities? Things that we like. So the potato chips, in my case, the Doritos, the soda and the fruit juice, the hot dogs, the deli meats, the burgers, the refined grains, the flour, pastries, donuts, Skittles, M&Ms, Oreos, beignets, all that deliciousness that we enjoy on various occasions, low nutrients. So what does that do? That satisfies a craving. That's good in the moment, but it doesn't provide a lot of value to help us sustain that healthy life. Does that mean that you can never have any of those things? Who am I to tell you what you can have? But what I can say, if this is a part of your normal diet, every day, you are not getting enough of the stuff that you should. And this is probably why you're finding yourself in plateau moments. You can't outwork a bad diet. It's not burning off, it's sticking onto you, and it's not digesting properly. So moderation is always key. But if this is a part of every day, if this is a part of your food story, then you are not getting the nutrients that you need to make that change in your life. And so I love to use this example about a car. And no, I'm not comparing us to cars like the artist that shall remain nameless or a Jeep. But I think this will be helpful for us to kind of put this all in perspective. So What happens when we put the wrong kind of gas in our car? Our car doesn't run as it was intended. It runs a little funny, right? What happens when you drive your car on fumes so it doesn't have enough? It may overheat. You have to turn certain things off that you would normally have. Maybe you have to turn your air off because you can make it home. You can make it home and you're riding on fumes, right? What happens when sugar is put in the tank of a car? Then the engine is destroyed, which is pretty much the whole part of the car. With no good engine, it really doesn't make sense to have a car. And then what happens when you just let your car sit, when you don't drive it? Usually the battery will die out, the tires may deflate, right? This is what happens with a car. We all know this, right? Where are you going with this, Kelly? I'm glad you asked. So what happens when you put the wrong kind of food in your body? Your body doesn't function the way that it was intended, all right? What happens when you don't eat for long periods of time? You're kind of eating on fumes, right? You get hot, bothered. You can't move the way you want to. You make irrational decisions. What happens when you put sugar in your body? It messes the core. Your abdomen, your brain doesn't function the way it was intended to. What happens when you just sit around and eat whatever you want? That's when we notice that those hips start to swell a little bit. That's when parts that used to be flat become a little bit larger because we are not moving it around. And so now it's not operating the way it was intended to, and it has mechanical and physical problems, right? So that is how we look at what we eat, okay? Or how we look at what we put into our body. And so now let's just kind of pivot to micronutrients. There are three: carbs, fat, protein. I don't care what you hear, you need all three. Carbs are not bad. Fat is not bad. Protein won't make you bulky. You need all of these. Now, the caveat is how much of these that you need, and that does differ. But let's jump into carbs first. Not all carbs are created equal, right? That's the difference between a potato and Doritos, right? Both are carbs, but they will do two separate things, right? Carb intake depends on factors such as how big or small you are, your lean mass to your body fat, how active you are, and then even if you're active, how long or how intense your activity may be, your age, your stage in life, how much of the other macronutrients you take. Genetics does play a part, but it's not a deal breaker, but it does play a part. And then what foods you like versus the foods you'll tolerate versus the foods you prefer. And then ultimately, what is your goal? What are you trying to do? All of those things have to take into consideration when we're looking at carbs, but carbs at its core are not bad. We tend to thrive better when we have a mixture of carb and carb types from different food groups. So you're not eating the same thing over and over again. Could you be the children of Israel that had manna for 40 years over and over again? Thank God we don't have to. And we have options now to mix up certain different types of carbs. And that's typically when we do it better. What we want to look at is to make sure that we have relatively slow digesting, high fiber carbs. And so those are like in your fruit and vegetables that we talked about a little bit earlier, your whole grains, beans, for example. And there's just a wide, diverse selection of lean processed food that you can eat to get the appropriate amount of carbs that you need. When we talk about fats, again, fats are not bad, but how much of it is what matters. So let's talk real quickly about three types of fats. Saturated fats, that's our butter and cream and coconut oil, sour cream, the half and half that we put in our coffee, the fatty beef, lamb, pork, the corn, pretty much a whole Chipotle burrito bowl. When you think about it, we think we're doing okay, but once they add all that stuff on it, that's what our saturated fats come from. And what does that mean? Saturate seems to hold on to you. So early we talked about your body not trusting you. Those are the fats that typically grow onto you and you're like, oh, where did this pouch come on? If I have too much of these types of things, they don't have the nutritional value and are usually marked the most unhealthiest. Does that mean you can never have any of this? No, but again, moderation is important And if this is what consumes everything you do, so for example, if I say you can have a sweet potato is actually a good carb for you. And then you put the butter and the brown sugar and all the cream on it, we have just kind of messed up the health benefits of that sweet potato. So you have to be careful with that. When we look at monounsaturated fats like the almonds, the nuts, the canola oil, and egg yolks, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is just some examples, but these are the type of things that have scientific proof to lower your bad cholesterol, to help kind of level your blood pressure. These are some of the things that help aid that you can eat. Now, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical doctor. And so I am not in any case telling you to do something contrary to what they may have told you. I am just sharing with you the types of foods that can help. So if they have you on medication for cholesterol or high blood pressure, don't say, oh, I'll just eat some almonds and I'll be okay. Stay on your medication, work with your doctor. But as you begin to change your diet, some of these things will come into play and maybe help kind of level set. In some cases, maybe over time, with your doctor's approval, you can come off of some of these medications. And then polyunsaturated fats like chia seeds, fish oil, grapeseed oils, walnuts. You can crush some of these up into your healthy smoothie. You can eat them raw. You can put them on with other micronutrients. So you have to just find what you can tolerate to make sure you're getting your entire portion of things that you need. And so when we look at the big picture with fats, and I want to stay here for a minute because it gets a really bad rap, we have to just have a balance of what we have. And it's a wide selection. You can get them from your nuts and your seeds, avocados, some dairy, eggs, fish, poultry, wild game, if that's your jam, beef, pork, lamb, olives, extra virgin olive oils are just a few. These are things that are called good fat. Yes, you need to make sure you're not overdoing it. Yes, measuring how much of it is important, but this actually helps with your health journey. All right, so we know fats are not bad. Let's talk about the third one real quickly, protein. Protein is what we need to repair, to rebuild our tissues, our hormones, our immune systems. And from 3 credible sources, they have that the average active person, so this doesn't go for everyone. And again, I am not your doctor. This is just credible sources that says on average, if you weigh about 150 pounds, you need about 82 to 150 grams of protein daily. That also has some things of what active means to you, okay? If you weigh about 200 pounds, you need 108 to 200 grams of protein daily. There are different ways where you may need more or less, depending on where you are in life, or what happens. So for example, if you are training, working out a lot, or you have a job that requires physical labor, it may be appropriate to increase your protein for that for your muscles, for your tissues, to make sure you don't hurt yourself. And if you are injured or sick, we tend to lose a lot of those nutrients, right? And so having more protein there may be something that is very helpful for you. If you are losing protein for some reason, some chronic physical stress, poor digestion, you might have to look at alternates to protein supplements, for example, under the care of your physician or your dietitian, to make sure that you have enough to sustain or get back into good health. And then actually protein, more protein, if you're trying to lose weight. A lot of women think that if I eat protein, I'm gonna gain these muscles and I'm gonna be real bulky. And that's not the case. It's so much that goes into that, and that is just not protein on its own. And you have to be extremely extreme for that to occur. But protein at its core is really good for you for development as well as for weight loss. So we talked about micronutrients or macronutrients. That's protein, carbs, fat. We need all 3 of them. None of them are bad. Moderation is the key. Understand your body of how much of that you need. Yes, size matters, and we'll kind of put this all together. But as we transition now to micronutrients, what are those? Those are the vitamins and the minerals that we need, but maybe not as much as we do for the macronutrients that we just talked about. And then again here, not all people are created equal. So for example, my daughter, her vitamin D is fine. I have low vitamin D. I have to take a daily supplement of vitamin D daily. I'm like, why do I have to take it? Why doesn't she have it? No two people are the same. But understanding that you can also get some of these in the food choices that you make, and some are best observed when you have them raw. Sometimes it's better when they're cooked. It's all depending on the micronutrient and what the effect is. Again, you also want to be careful here. Too much or too little of vitamins and minerals can cause harm. You need to talk to your physician to make sure that you understand what your deficiency may be so you don't go into any type of toxic shock. But most of the nutrients or micronutrients that you need can come into your food choices. There's not one best diet. I think I just said that. And just also, just like with exercise, with weight loss, factors such as biological sex, age, medication, food choices, stress, activity levels, and intensity all play a part on how much of the micronutrients that you would need. And so just so you can know, again, I'm going to keep saying this because never will you be able to say, Kellie told me I can come off my medication if I just take some vitamins. I am not your doctor. I am just simply giving you information to educate and to have that conversation with your physician about some of these things that you do. In our society and also in our culture, people like to prescribe medicine instead of really taking the time to understand somebody's body to see that a vitamin can change the whole can keep you from having to be on that medication for the rest of your life. So these are just information sharing for you to do your research and to have the appropriate conversation. So, for example, if you suffer from swollen ankles, that could mean you have too much sodium, okay? If you have weak bones or soft bones, you might have a deficiency for vitamin, and you need some vitamin D or C. Joint pain, vitamin D. Gout, memory problems, sleeplessness, and sleepiness can all be some type of deficiency in vitamins and minerals. And so I listed these here. I'll definitely share them with you. I don't plan to go through all of them, but I did want to keep some symptoms that I know that we as women suffer through a lot. So depression, for one example, and I'm sure that was touched on a little bit last week. Yes, you should follow the advice of your counselor, but also let's look at what you're putting in your body or what you may lack in your body that can kind of balance that. So depression, vitamin B7 and B12 have known to help with that. If you have dry eyes or difficulty controlling your eyes, impaired vision, vitamin E would be great. Acne, I can't believe I'm this whole age and I still break out from time to time, but maybe I need to increase my vitamin C and my E. If you have tingling and burning in your feet, again, talk to your doctor, but some vitamins may be able to help that as well. Hair loss, vitamin 7, zinc may be helpful for that, or maybe you have too much of that. Headaches is a big one for me. Vitamin A or vitamin 3 toxicity. Maybe I have a sodium deficiency. All those things should come into play. And again, all of these things can be found in the food that you eat. Do you eat too much salty stuff? Maybe that's why you swell. You know, we have to be able to start to connect the dots on the choices that we make. And so how to eat? What if I told you you should be eating 5 to 6 times a day? You probably say that is way too much. I shouldn't be doing that. Yes, you can. I think what overwhelms you is the size of that meal that you think it needs to be. Remember, we entitled this My Portion. So if you are eating 5 to 6 small meals a day, you are fueling your body enough with what it needs for that day to go ahead and live your healthiest life. So portion size is important, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. You have to recondition your mind, and all of us have to make a conscious effort to stop eating when we are no longer hungry versus stop eating when we are full. Because when you're full, that's when you kind of get this little discomfort. You know, that's when you get sleepy right after a meal. That's when you say, oh, I need to go lie down and take a nap. So eat until you're no longer hungry, and your body will tell you. Your body will tell you with that. I can tell you that stress is the leading cause to overeating. So even if people have a beautiful smile, you know, day after day, if they are stressed, normally they are overeating in some capacity. Your water intake also plays a part in this. And I know the million-dollar question is like, well, how much water should I drink? Should it be 64 ounces a day? Should it be a gallon a day? Again, it depends on your body. 70% of our body is made up of water, yet it's really easy for us to get dehydrated. So that's how important water is into everything that we do. What I go by, this is Kellie. You can talk to your physician about it. At minimum, I recommend you drink half your weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 75 ounces of water a day. Okay. Yes, you may have frequent trips to the restroom until your body gets acclimated to that. Once your body knows that I am going to have water, it will be able to go ahead and flush out when it needs to flush out, and it will be able to help move other things within your digestive system as it needs to. I recommend that you don't drink your calories. And what do I mean by that? When you get the big bottle of pop or Coke or fruit juice, you usually turn that around. Most likely it's over 200 calories, sometimes 300 calories, depending on what it is. I would rather have 200 to 300 calories in food that is going to keep me full and fuel me than sugary drinks that I'm putting into my body that is going to offset what my goals are. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's just tie this all together, that the portion size matter. Your body requires protein, carbs, fat to function the way it's intended. Portion size is an essential component. Genetics plays a role, but it is not the determining factor. Protein helps with muscle support. Carbs are good for getting the minerals and the vitamins that we need, and also aid in proper digestion and overall gut health. Fats is good for you and needed for energy. To restrict or eliminate any of this does not help you have that full balanced version of yourself in order to live a healthier life. And so let's talk about the portion. What I have next to me, I'm gonna hold it up. Oh, let me see if I can take the, let's see. Yes, this is a portion plate. You guys see this? It's a portion plate. It looks like a wheel. You're like, what is this? Well, this helps you map out how much of what you should be eating. This particular plate starts if somebody weighs about 225 pounds. Right here is the amount of protein that it suggests that you have. So if you had a plate under here, I have a paper plate for demonstration. If I had a paper plate under here, in this section here, I would put all my proteins. This huge section here are where the vegetables goes, your greens, your spinach, your lettuce, your side salad or your green beans, whatever you choose to have. And then this section here is for your carbs. So the potato, the brown rice or whatever that you want. This is the size at full capacity for a person that weighs about 225 pounds. You're like, well, I don't want to weigh 225 pounds, or I want to lose weight. What do I do then? So this portion plate adjusts to your goal. So this is full. This is telling me at different sizes of what and how much to eat. This is one of several ways to kind of parse out your meals, plan ahead, and it's based on either what you weigh and want to sustain, or if your goal is one of these goals that's on this portion plate, it goes from 125 pounds all the way up to 200 pounds, and you will adjust to where that is. It will tell you how much of each of these things that you need to eat in order to get there, your 5 to 6 meals a day. Does that make sense? This is just one easy way to do it. Other ways that I've seen done, if this is what you want to do, you can weigh your food. You can get a little scale and weigh your food raw. And if you're saying I want 5 pounds of, I'm sorry, not 5 pounds, 5 ounces of chicken, do it in its raw state, for example, and then you can grill it or however it is that you choose to make it. That's another option of how to decide. But again, having something to show you your portion size is really helpful to make sure you have enough of those things. Now, one caveat I do want to say is salads, sometimes what we put in it or on it, you might as well have just had the burger, okay? So you want to be really careful with those dressings that you like to put on those salads, or I'm going to add some croutons, or I'm going to add the tortilla strips. I'm telling all my business of how I really truly want a salad. But when you start to add all of that up and see the nutrition value in that, I might as well have gone and got the 4-piece spicy or 4-piece mild with barbecue sauce, okay? So just because it looks good and it looks healthy, you really need to understand. So that's where the olive oil, the good fat comes in. That's where the vinaigrette dressing may be a better choice. And then you need to make sure how much of it. Your measuring cups, all right? Never ever should you have this much of salad dressing on a salad. That's about a pizza, okay? Just have the pizza. But you do have different sizes from the smallest to the top, so you can start to understand what is it that I need and how much of it should I be having. We also typically come from a society where we say, just for a little bit of that, taste it. How does it taste to you? All right, you need a little bit more. We have no idea how much we actually put into some of the food that we have, but we have to be disciplined, go back to that discipline portion to make sure that we have what we need to be sustainable. And so the portion plate can be ordered off of Amazon. I get no proceeds from it, but think about other options that you feel will be doable to help you make sure you're getting what you need. And so I just have a few quick other slides here. As we tie this all together, I would be remiss if I didn't also incorporate that you need to also move your body. But if you're fueling your body with the right stuff, your body will then start to react the way that you had hoped it to be. Did you know that you exercise 60 minutes a day? That's just 4% of your day. I'm not even asking you to start there. If you start with 15 minutes a day, that's less than 2%, probably less than 1% of your day. Every move counts. So it doesn't have to be as strenuous as, weightlifting and running a 10K every day. You can just walk around the block. You can walk around your house. Every move counts and build up from there. Exercise also makes you feel better, even if the situation doesn't change. And the adrenaline and energy that you are provided from the good food that you consume will really keep that blood flowing and your heart pumping the way it's intended. And you will not feel out of breath or feel that you can't do some of the things that you talked about. And of course, it couples with other chronic diseases and preventing them, and it can help you improve your sleep. One thing I want you to remember is you cannot outwork a bad diet. What does that mean? One day back in the day, I will never forget that I ate a bag of M&Ms. And I looked on the back and I said, wow, 350 calories. Later on that day, I went to the gym and I said, I wonder how long I have to be on this machine to burn off those 350 calories of M&Ms. And I tell you, the amount of time it took me to burn off 350 calories of M&Ms, it wasn't worth it. I don't think I ate M&Ms for 3 months. I was so upset because it wasn't worth it. You cannot outwork a bad diet. You have to make that change in order to see the results that you really need. There is a connection. Karana said this in the beginning of our session today. I pray that in every way you may succeed and prosper and be of good health physically, just as your soul prospers spiritually. It's a mind, body, and spirit connection. And so in closing, I know I said a lot. This could be an 8-week class, but I really just wanted to hit you with the nuggets to really get the information that you needed to start. And I am happy to answer any questions that you have. But let's just recap what we talked about today. You start with prayer and stretching in your day with prayer and stretching. Don't look at where you want to be a year from now. Focus on this moment. Because if you get too far ahead, you might get overwhelmed. Just focus on the decisions that you can make in the now. Meal prep, plan ahead. Get a complete physical to understand your body. That should have actually been second after prayer. Get a complete physical to understand your body. Cut out the foolishness with the unprocessed food and overindulging in sweets and Don't drink your calories. Drink water. Start by walking, just moving, getting up, twisting around, dance around the house. You deserve to take care of you. That's not selfish. When we talk about meal planning real quickly, I just want you to do your homework. What do I mean by that? Actually, no one other than a licensed nutritionist or dietitian should be providing you with specific meal plans. You know why? Because there is a science and there are medical components behind this. There is no one size that fits all. Yes, it may help you eat a little bit better, but to know what your body needs, you need to make sure you have somebody that is skilled in doing that. For example, I had a client one day who was saying that she just feels lethargic and she just needs a little pick-me-up. I was going to recommend that, girl, just eat a banana, before you start to work out or start your day. And she told me that she had a condition with potassium. Has she not told me that, or has she not understood her body, that could have had a very detrimental effect. So it's important that you are going to license nutritionists, dietitians who are paid to do this daily in order to get your specific meal plan advice. Portion size matters. Small meals throughout the day is the goal. And get moving. Remember, you cannot outwork a bad diet. You need to trust the process. This is not going to happen overnight. You are going to have some days when you are killing the game, and you are going to have some days where you did not do well at all. That's okay. The Bible says we fall down, but we get up. Fall down 7 times, get up 8. The point is keep getting up, keep trying, okay? And discipline is your responsibility. Nobody is going to, it's between you and God, all right? No coach, no nutritionist can keep you motivated. You have to make sure you have a disciplined mind to get the results and get that end result, but you have to trust the process, okay? And that is it. And that is all. And this is information on how we can have more conversation in depth that is tailored to you. I will be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my Second Wind family, those that have joined this call as well. We love you and we are here for you. And we are living proof that we can do this one day at a time, one meal at a time, one breath at a time. So thank you. That's all.
Well, thank you, Kellie. We're open for questions. If anyone has a question, you can put it in the chat. There is one question that I did see, and I'm not sure. One of the questions was, how do you get rid of heel pain? Where's the chat box on here now that we're here? Let me see.
Oh, heel
Yeah.
spurs.
Her
Yeah.
spurs,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Again, not a doctor. Can't really tell you how to get rid of those, but I would say that you need to see the salt intake that you're taking, have that discussion with your doctor and let him or her know about your heel spurs to see if there's a connection there.
And if you don't mind, I can make a comment about heel
Yes,
spurs.
doctor, podiatrist, what is wrong with me? Yes,
No, but that's
absolutely.
okay. I want to just really quick, definitely seek counsel, see a podiatrist or an orthopedic surgeon or your family practitioner to talk about it. But a lot of times it's your biomechanics. You will find that you can have heel spurs and not even have heel pain. So really having someone evaluating your biomechanics, meaning your whole body structure. Some people have a little longer limb, because they compensate. There are a lot of reasons why you get heel spurs. So I would definitely say, if you see me in church, hey, stop me and I'll talk to you about it, but definitely seek medical counsel for that. There are a lot of things that you can do that once you get it, can make sure that you don't have pain with it, but we can talk about that at another time. And I just wanted to mention that, but definitely seek counsel for that. Marche Wallace, do you have a question or can you put it in? I don't know if they're able. Oh, wait a minute. Let me keep.
I'm off mute. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Kellie. I know you said you're not a doctor and we should see a nutritionist and everything. Clearly understand that. But one of the things that was mentioned in the presentation that did stick out to me was regarding yogurt because that's usually my go-to for breakfast. So I just wanted to see what are some other alternatives that would be great, especially because that's usually the longest time that we are fasting our body because we're sleeping. So what's really great and working in an office, so it's not like I can, scramble up some, I could scramble eggs, but all of those things. So what is really like maybe a great alternative, please?
So I will tell you my go-to. I used to love yogurt a lot too, and that was easy to grab. And sometimes I still do. Sometimes I still do. But what I find myself leaning towards more is that natural smoothie. So a scoop of protein with water. I don't use a lot of milk there for other reasons, but I do a protein with water. One fruit of my choice from that list that we talked about early, the bright color fruit, and at least one vegetable, sometimes two. If I know that I'm going to be back to back and in a lot of meetings, I will put avocado. You might say, yuck, you don't taste it. It actually makes it thick and it sticks to you to be able to make sure that you can sustain until your next meal. And I usually mix that up in a blender really quickly. And that is what I get from my proteins, my fats in there, and my carbs all in one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question. Nichelle, I see you. Do you have a question?
Yes, I actually got a couple questions and comments from Facebook and YouTube, so I'm just going to read them for you.
Okay.
Terry Shaver says, "What's good for chest pain?" Gail Baker and Deborah Williams want to know where can they purchase the plates. Let's see. Oh, Deborah said, "Great presentation." And we have another one for YouTube. Charmaine wants to know what's good for chronic pain.
Okay, so the first question I think was what's good for chest pain? I can't tell you that. I don't even want to get into that because I don't know what that actually means. Again, I would say consult your physician for that. And my doctor friend here is shaking her head, and so I trust her medical advice. Chest pains, though, is something that we should not ignore. So I would encourage that we seek that appointment sooner rather than later to find out what it is. And I am sure that they will have the appropriate plan of action for you. And also go ahead and advocate for yourself. If it is something about nutrition that you want to know, most doctors can refer you to one through the medical system. They don't always tell you that, or they only tell you that if you have certain types of illnesses and chronic diseases, but you can advocate for yourself too to see if there is a connection there. I think the second question was, where can you purchase the portion plate? I purchased mine on Amazon. It came very next day, so very quick delivery. And it is called the Portion Master. Okay, and I'm sure you can find it also if you do portion plate. I'm sorry, I can't remember the next question. If there was one.
Yeah, there's a couple more, and there's some new ones that just came through.
Oh,
too.
okay.
One is what's good for chronic pain.
Chronic
and
pain.
we have another one is oatmeal good for us. Another one is any collagen, what type?
Mm-hmm.
And then
let's start with chronic pain. I think that's the same answer that I would give with the chest pain. I don't know what that is in its totality, but I can tell you if you look at this presentation and you see some vitamins and minerals that may help with that, have that discussion with your doctor or your physician to make sure that you guys are working together to build the best health regimen for you. Seems like I need some vitamin something because my memory is failing me at this moment.
About oat? Is it
oatmeal? Is oatmeal good
oatmeal.
for you?
Right.
That's a loaded question because if you're talking about oatmeal in a packet, probably not. But if we're talking about those pure oats, yes, in moderation, you can get some minerals that you need from that. Also consider what you're putting in that oatmeal. Oatmeal in its current form may be great for you, but if you're adding, milk and sugar and brown sugar and a whole bunch of fruit and stuff, it starts to lose its value. So it's really about what you put into that and the natural component of what you're eating, that natural oats opposed to something that's already processed. And then someone asks, what is the weight or the protein intake for 150 pounds? That's
Right.
between 82 and 150 grams of protein daily for your average active person.
How to limit sugar if you are pre-diabetic.
Yes, great question. That is not for me. Again, you got to talk to your provider, make sure that insulin level and that sugar level is where it should be. I do have a client who is diabetic, but she has willingly provided her medical information to me. And I have questions for her doctor, and I have her go back and ask her doctor some things to make sure that it is in line with their prescribed regimen for her, even as it goes down to the type of exercises that she does. So I do not want to tread in that territory, but I can tell you that there are ways to limit it, but it needs to come from your provider and the plan that they have set for you.
And I just want to add to that in terms of the pre-diabetic, and make sure, and Kellie said it, everyone's metabolism is different. So what one person would do to decrease their level of glucose in their body would not be what another person would do. So even in talking with your healthcare provider, if you're not getting the answers that you want, then have them refer you to a nutritionist. And the nutritionist can definitely help you along with your healthcare provider to find out what fits you and what works best for you. Another question, how do you eat 6 small meals during the day when you're working for 8 hours?
That's a great question. And there was a long time where I was like, it's virtually impossible, but it's not if you meal prep. If you're bringing your lunch, if you're planning accordingly ahead of time for lunch, if you know that you're going to have your breakfast, if your breakfast is going to be that smoothie that I talked about in the beginning, that's considered one meal. All right. If you talk about dinner, plan what you're going to have for dinner, and don't be like me in my household. What you want to eat? I don't know what you want to eat. What do you want to make? Like, really have a plan so you don't make bad choices, and understand what that meal looks like. Again, when we think of meal, let's not think about it in the traditional sense where we're sitting down and, we have all these things together. We can have them already put into our little meal prep basket where all we have to do is heat it up, or if it's a salad or things that we can eat cold, just take it out of the refrigerator and that is a meal. Everything doesn't have to be large. If you want to have a delicious piece of fish and some brown rice and some string beans for dinner, for example, know that ahead of time. Prep that ahead of time. Don't get sidetracked. But it is going to take discipline and just getting some used to. You're going to have to say, how often do I eat within that 8-hour day? Do you start at home? If you start at home, maybe one meal is done and you're only going to do 2 and 3 when you're at work, and the rest will be at home once you get there. So it really kind of takes a toll of what your entire day looks like. But it is possible. It's just going to take some time to get used to.
We have time for a couple of more questions. Nichelle, do you want to ask yours? I have 2 here on the chat.
Okay, I've got a couple of comments and one question online. Valerie Wright Walker wants to know about any collagen and what type is her question. And the comments that I have is Diane Booth said, whoops, this is the wrong one, sorry. Anna Lewis said, this has been absolutely awesome, Sister Kellie.
Oh, glad you enjoyed. Thank you.
Yes, and Diane Booth said, praise God for your obedience, Sister Kellie.
Oh, well, praise God for those comments to both of you. Collagen, that's the $1 million question. When do we need it? How much do we need it? Do we need the natural organic kind or not? I am going to say this, not knowing the situation or not being able to sit with the person and actually have a conversation. All collagen is not created equal. And so we really have to look at the ingredients that are in there to see if it's something, one, that we need and can tolerate, and two, if that's going to help us do what it says it does. So you'll see some collagen that says great for hair, nails, and, and skin, Is that what we're looking for, and how much are they suggesting that you take? Because remember, too much of anything can be just as detrimental as not enough. And so you really have to do your research with that. You have to really be able to test some stuff out to see, are you at a point where you need to have such collagen and such wide demand? One thing about us beautiful Black women is that we may not always need it as soon as others. Beautiful women may need it. That's the most appropriate DEIB way I can say that. But not all collagens are the exact same. So you really have to do your research about that. If you ask me, I do a plant-based collagen, but I am not saying that that is what everyone has to do, but that is what I do.
Two more questions.
Okay.
So you were saying we should eat at least four to six times a day, small meals, correct?
That is correct. And it's the portion size. It's depending
Right.
on your size and your goal. If you're sustaining, if you want to lose, if you want to gain, it's depending on that. But the portion size is what's critical and what matters.
Okay. The last question I have is I sometimes eat meatless products.
Mhm.
I see vegan on the packaging. The products are sometimes soy or plant-based. What are your thoughts on these types of food products?
Absolutely nothing wrong with being a vegan or a vegetarian. What you have to do then is make sure that you're getting enough of those macronutrients that we talked about that is not always found in the plant-based. So you may have to supplement a little bit more in order to get what you need. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it, but if you made that choice to be a vegan or a vegetarian, you may have to do more of something or substitute more of something, a protein supplement, for example, or eat more of a type of carbs to get the value that you need for your desired outcome. But fundamentally, it's absolutely nothing wrong with being a vegan or a vegetarian.
Thank you, Kellie Medious. This was wonderful. Ladies, be sure to
Oh,
log on next Thursday. Oh, another one?
I'm sorry, somebody
Question?
said quick review of yogurt. Is yogurt bad? No, yogurt is not bad, but it needs to be in moderation. And we just talked about some of the fats that's associated with it. And so you really need to look at how much and how often that you're using yogurt. Someone asked, what are some alternatives? I recommended a protein shake to go with that. So hopefully that answers your question. And what kind of water is the best? Good water that's not dirty. I'm just gonna say, I know all water isn't created equal. I like essential water. That doesn't mean that's the only water that you can get. Alkaline water is amazing. Right now I have a purified water here. Whatever it is that's gonna quench your thirst that is not contaminated in hot water or room temperature water or cold water, it is really your desire what floats your boat. Okay, so water is good for you. I don't think one type of water does it more than the other. It's really what do you like that you can commit to continue drinking as much as you need to. Okay, hopefully that's it.
Thank you. No,
Thank
but
you, Karana.
these were all great questions, and obviously we need to make sure we keep something like this for our series next year's. But ladies, please be sure to log on next Thursday, May the 16th at 5:50. Our health topic will be oral health by Minnie Stevenson. And also, please plan to be in attendance for the All Things Fitness 2 event as we culminate the wellness series with an in-person workout experience on May the 23rd at 6 p.m. You can go to the Sisterhood Connection page and register or use the QR code. Remember, before starting any workout exercise program, please consult your doctor or medical advisor. Also, please take our survey. Your opinion and your voice matters. We will close with a prayer. Thank you guys for being so patient. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to hear a word that is from you. Thank you for allowing us to be here today to get the word and help us to be disciplined enough to move forward with whatever you have put in our hearts and mind. Allow us to be safe this week. Allow our families to be safe until we meet again in Jesus' name. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. We will see you next week. Thank you, Kellie. Thank you, team, health and wellness team. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.